Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
Welcome to the program. We have in studio Dr. Jim Phillips is with us. He is a dentist. Dr. Phillips, welcome, sir.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, so this segment is kind of a long time coming. I've been covering a story that started back, I guess this was a post back on October 23rd. There was a dentist who posted this on Facebook, and it kind of went viral. Governor's office breaks with tradition, rejects Arkansas State Dental Association nominee for dental board. Is that?
That is accurate.
Okay. And it went in an unprecedented move in modern times. The office of governor has rejected the recommendation of the Arkansas State Dental Association for the Arkansas State Board of Dental Examiners. Now, you, Dr. Phillips, are a former president of the Arkansas State Board of Dental Examiners.
That's correct.
So I'm glad that you came on the program. They rejected the recommended person. Tell us how this happened. You were telling me some of the background, and I want you to be as specific as possible.
Okay. The etiology of this actually began 5 or 6 years ago when a local orthodontist, the name of Ben Burris, decided that he wanted to do more than just orthodontics in his practice. He wanted to do general dentistry. At that time, state law, rules, and regulations prohibited a licensed specialist from doing general dentistry. Obviously, I'm an oral maxillofacial surgeon, and I haven't done a filling since I was in dental school, which is longer than I'd like to remember, 50 years. So you wouldn't want to come into my office and have me do a fill-in or a crown preparation on you, because it would be probably a disaster.
Okay.
So this is the reasoning behind the state board, that if somebody restricts their practice to a single part of dentistry, then that's by law what they need to stay doing. Dr. Burris decided that he wanted to do general dentistry and hygiene specifically in his practice. Well, this didn't sit well with the general dentist here in town, because he would take their patients and do hygiene in his orthodontic office. Sometimes he would do things that they didn't want to do as far as treatment plans. But the bottom line is this became a significant issue. He was brought before the State Board of Dental Examiners, which basically voted against him and censored him for practicing outside of his specialty. Well, apparently this didn't sit very well with Dr. Burris, because he enlisted the help of a senator, Jeremy Hutchinson.
The governor's nephew.
The governor's nephew. I understand that this was a cash transfer to initiate this legislation to what we call Open the Dental Practice Act. In other words, the Dental Practice Act is like any other law in Arkansas. It can be amended, but it takes a legislative initiation of an act to amend this. We guard the Dental Practice Act because we don't want other people coming in and making laws that the dentists have to follow that are non-dentist. The dentists over the last 100 years have pretty well protected the rights of their patients, and that's always been the number one thing, is protecting the rights of the patients. Didn't have anything to do with making money. It didn't have anything to do with who was giving the services. It was just the patient always came first. We were always concerned, the general dentist, that if the Dental Practice Act was opened by somebody that was a non-dentist, legislation would occur that was not in the favor of the patient, and that's exactly what happened. The law was introduced by Senator Hutchinson. It was passed last year, and it significantly changed the Dental Practice Act that had been in place for 100 years.
Okay, that right there is a lot. So what? How did that law? So you're saying something was changed in the law that affected the governor's power and authority to reject or accept what the recommendation of the Dental Association is? That's
exactly right. The original law, again, the one we're working under, was initiated in 1955, stated that the governor would appoint the members of the State Board of Dental Examiners on advice and consent of the separate districts. For instance, we vetted Lauren Harmon, who is a wonderful general dentist here to be our representative to the state board this term. The terms are 5 years. She actually took time out of our practice to went and sit in on some of the state board meetings to prepare herself. And then we got the notice that she was not going to serve. So the new law that was sponsored by Senator Jeremy Hutchinson reversed the way the assignments were made, where the governor on his own can just decide without the advice and consent of the district.
Okay, so the next question then would be, we're talking, by the way, with Dr. Jim Phillips, past president of the Arkansas State Board of Dental Examiners. The next question would be, then why would the governor, I understand now he has the power because of legislative maneuvering, but why would he reject it? Why would he go with somebody, according to this, instead the governor's office appointed Dr. Richard L. Smith of North Little Rock, a non-member of the ASDA and current employee of Monarch Dental. According to records, Dr. Smith has been found by the ASDA to be in violation of the Practice Act on 3 occasions in the early 1990s, the first being overprescribing of narcotics. Why would Governor Hutchinson go with that guy instead of who you guys recommended?
Well, that's the $64,000 question, and I actually can answer that. The organization to which Dr. Burris was attached is called the Association for Dental Support Organization, and it is actually a national organization lobbying for corporate dentistry. And Dr. Burris was a member of this, and there are many corporate dental outlets, if you want to call them, here in Arkansas, and they wanted basically a seat at the table. They wanted to have somebody on the State Board of Dental Examiners that could sway the laws toward the practice of corporate dentistry. So this was the chance to get somebody on there. I'm not sure, well, I am sure that Dr. Smith was not well vetted. I don't know how his name came up, but obviously,
He wasn't vetted.
They didn't do a very good job of deciding who was going to represent the Association of Dental Support Organizations on the board. There's probably quite a few of really competent dentists that belong to corporate dentistry in Arkansas, and unfortunately, Dr. Smith, who has a fairly significant record of having his license suspended 3 times, was just a poor choice.
Yeah.
Given what's going on in the world today, everybody is saying, well, that happened in the early 90s and he's changed. And, we've seen a whole bunch of politicians fall lately because of things that happened 30 years ago. So I'm not sure that personally I think that makes a whole lot of difference, that, having your license suspended for narcotics issues doesn't sit well with most of the general dentists.
Yeah, I would agree. So it seems to me that there's a divide in the dental community. You have the corporate side of things, and then you have maybe just sole ownership or maybe limited partnership types of practices. And so I guess this is kind of a jockeying of who's going to get representation. And this is the corporate, kind of set up shop by night operations that are now going to have representation when in the past they didn't. So the question is, especially considering he was vetted so poorly. Let me just be honest, Dr. Phillips. I'm told that in many of these instances, you sit down with the governor's people, and you get informed that, hey, well, we're open for donations. And so the question is was this decision made because of campaign contributions or something like that? Well,
I think there's absolutely no doubt that there was, and I can't tell you when having seen the money change hands, but the story is that this was a substantial donation to the governor's campaign fund through this national organization. Mm-hmm. There's no really other reason because, again, all the general dentists in this state are working for patients' rights. They want to make sure that the patients are treated correctly. When you have a corporate entity, the patient's rights don't come first. It's the corporate bottom line that comes first. And so we just feel as a group, and I can't speak for the Arkansas State Dental Association or the state board, but I can speak for the dentist in this area. We all feel like that's not the way we want to treat our patients.
Mm-hmm. And that was actually my next question. Any potential political ramifications? I mean, is it just the dentists in Northeast Arkansas that are upset, or is this like the entire? That's a pretty big voting block, and the governor's, probably going to have a primary opponent in the Republican primary.
Well, that's a great point that you make. We're left without representation in Northeast. The next 5 years at least, we're not going to have a representative on the state board. This is a huge problem for us in the Northeast District. And now the other districts are going, whoa, well, what's going to happen when the next district is elected? Are we going to have a say in that? Well, obviously they're not. So there's 5 positions because there's 5 districts. So, it's a possibility that as long as Governor Hutchinson's making the selections, that there won't be any representation from the different districts. So, yeah, this is a real problem, but we're going to help solve this problem because we're going to get into politics. We are a small group in Northeast. We're 180 dentists, and across the state, it's about 1,200, but we see a lot of patients. And, we are not happy with what's going on.
Yeah.
And we were going to let our patients know that this governor has not treated the State Board of Dental Examiners appropriately.
All right. Well, I appreciate, I don't know if this is a first step or not, but I appreciate you coming on the program and, being willing to talk about it, because talking about it is what gets people, engaged to hopefully make different choices in the future. So, Doctor,
thank you very much.
Dr. Jim Phillips, I appreciate it, sir. That's great. It's great to meet you. Past president of the Arkansas State Board of Dental Examiners. Folks, we got to take a break. We got the rest of the show for you. Don't go anywhere. Back in just a moment.
Merry Christmas.